Hi, I'm Vicki Rogers, and welcome to the Senior Living Show. This show is dedicated to people thinking about retiring, people who are already retired, and those who, like me, are making difficult decisions on the care of helping your aging parents. We are celebrating the best years of life. We are going to cover so many interesting topics on this show, including financial, health and wellness, travel, entertainment, legal issues. How about music? We're going to cover all of it. Everything that's interesting to you is interesting to us. So stay tuned while we give you all the information you need to have the best years of your life. On today's show, we've got an interview with Hall of Fame journalist Billy Reed, and we're going to be talking to Scott Neal. He is a retirement specialist. He's going to be sharing a whole lot of secrets that you're going to want to know. So stay with us. We'll have more for you coming up next on the Senior Living Show.
A 100 years ago, we were selling appliances like these. Things have changed over the years, but one thing that hasn't is our commitment to our customers. And our growth has allowed us to carry the best selection of today's top brands. We wouldn't be one of the nation's oldest appliance dealers if we didn't provide professional salespeople and custom installation. The same thing that was true 100 years ago is still true today. There's no hassle at Bonnie Castle.
Burkhead Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent Trane dealer, has been serving the Louisville area since 1947. The customer service is second to none, and their job is not complete until you are satisfied. Call 367-1212 for all your family and business needs. Burkhead Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent Trane dealer, is the company to keep you comfortable year-round. Call 367-1212 today. You're a step ahead with Burkhead and Trane. It's hard to stop a train.
For over 40 years, Superior Van and Mobility has been providing Louisville with state-of-the-art mobility solutions. We offer the latest vehicle conversions by Braun Ability, as well as custom lifts by Bruno. To go along with our knowledgeable, friendly staff and our expansive inventory, we now have an incredible new showroom and service center at 1506 Lakeshore Court near Hurstbourne Parkway and I-64. Stop by or visit us on the web at superiorvan.com.
A few years ago, I was very embarrassed about my weight. I had lost weight in the past, but no matter what I tried, I just couldn't seem to lose it this time. I needed a plan. Imagine that. I needed a coach. That's when I turned to InShape MD, and wow, did their program work. I lost 42 pounds in the very first month. Now, I'm down 73 pounds, and I feel tremendous. It worked for me, and it will work for you. Let InShape MD be your coach, and you will love the results.
Welcome back to the Senior Living Show. I'm Vicki Rogers, and with me is Paul Najar. He is a veteran sports journalist here in Louisville. Paul, tell everybody about your background.
Well, my background, Vicki, and thank you. I'm thrilled to be here on the Senior Living Show. My background is varied, theater background, but an educator. I was a teacher for 16 years and then worked with sports marketing and a big company here, Louisville Catholic Sports. We started small and grew that thing pretty big to turned it into the sports media team. Lots of broadcasting experience, lots of journalism experience, writing about sports, and more importantly, Vicki, not just the sports, but the stories behind the action. You know, anybody can figure out who won, who lost, who played well, who didn't, but there are greater stories to be told, and we filled, I thought, in our company, we filled a big niche in the Louisville market because everyone has a connection to their schools and to their allegiances to their grade schools, their high schools, et cetera, and even Bellarmine University, who we were a big partner, we still are a big partner with Bellarmine University and their basketball programs, the women's and men's.
And tell us why you are passionate about the Senior Living Show.
I'm passionate because, as you mentioned in the open, I'm one of 11 kids, and our mom, dad passed away 20 years ago, but mom is 88, celebrated her 88th birthday this past week, and we were all home with her. And it's one of those things where, I've got an older family. I'm the youngest I'm the 10th of 11 kids, so I have sisters who are approaching 70 next year. There'll be some of my siblings, 6 of them are in their 60s. So we have to figure out what is it that we need to do for not just for our mom or for our aunts and uncles, but for ourselves, and how to pass along those plans, how to set up our lives and our legacies for not just our future, but for our children and our grandchildren.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Now, I'm actually from the Indianapolis area.
That's what we want to know more about. I want to know more about you and how you have come. Everybody knows Vicki Rogers. Everybody has seen Vicki. She's a veteran, longtime veteran of the Louisville media market, and so many shows that you have done, and so much. You've become so much a part of the fabric of the Louisville media and the community as in that role in the Louisville community.
Thank you. Well, like I said, I went to Indiana University and I lived in Indianapolis for 6 years. I actually worked with Bob and Tom back in the old days. Yeah.
Bob and Tom. I'm sure we could talk a few shows worth of stories about them.
Yes, and some shall not be told again.
Well, what did you learn the most about Bob and Tom?
I learned
from that show.
I learned that you really come across, real people really come across when you're on the air, whether it's radio or whether it's TV. If you're real and you're sincere, people can tell, and it's kind of interesting.
And working with those guys, I'm sure it's a matter of that you've got a good foundation in how to handle adversity and things in a heartbeat, in the moment.
Right. The show must go on.
The show must go on. So you moved down to Louisville.
I did. I moved down to Louisville, and I actually had a radio show on Light 106.9 for 14 years. And then I went to iHeart Radio for a couple of years, and now I'm actually back on Summit Media with 106.9, and I started my own advertising and marketing company. So I'm really busy doing lots of different.
Well, I will tell you a little secret. 106.9 is the station I wake up to on my alarm. Yay! And do people have alarms anymore? No, they're all on their cell phone. I leave my cell phone far away from me when I go to sleep. But 106.9, it's very clear on my bedside. It's very clear we wake up to that. So you have you're back in this role now in the Senior Living Show. How important is it for you? What is the connection for you to this show?
Okay, well, my father actually passed away about 3 years ago, and we went through things that we had no idea what we were doing. Luckily, he did have his estate planned well, so if you don't have your estate planned well, I can't tell you how crucial that is. So, but then you move into long-term care. Is there going to be palliative care? Does anybody know what palliative care is? If you don't know, you need to know. And then hospice care, it comes next. And all those things, and we had to navigate that. And in-home care, what kind of benefits can you get? If you're a veteran, you can get extra benefits. Those things are so important. We didn't know any of this.
These are the questions we're going to answer on this show with our guest and Scott Neal from B. Scott Neal Incorporated about planning for the future and planning that care. And that's what we're going to have here on the show every week. We'll have guest segments, we'll have Scott Neal giving tips, and you'll find out more about what's going on around town and things to do, places to go, people to see, and interesting aspects of the community. Vicki, this is going to be so much fun because coming up next we have Hall of Fame sports journalist Billy Reed with us. Get to sit down and talk with him about his relationship with so many great characters in sports, from Bobby Knight to Muhammad Ali and all in between. You know him as the Courier-Journal sports editor. You know him as the Lexington Herald leader columnist, general columnist at the Courier-Journal for a time as well. Almost 1,000 articles he wrote for Sports Illustrated. And the author of 20 books, The Last of a Breed, B. Reed. Billy Reed will be with us coming up next. Stay with us on the Senior Living Show.
For over 65 years, families have trusted Coit to deep clean just about everything, all backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. Clean as new. That's the Coit commitment to you. Call 1-800-FOR-COIT today to schedule your Coit cleaning and save 30%.
For over 40 years, Superior Van and Mobility has been providing Louisville with state-of-the-art mobility solutions. We offer the latest vehicle conversions by Braun Ability, as well as custom lifts by Bruno. To go along with our knowledgeable, friendly staff and our expansive inventory, we now have an incredible new showroom and service center at 1506 Lakeshore Court near Hurstbourne Parkway and I-64. Stop by or visit us on the web at superiorvan.com.
Burkhead Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent Trane dealer, has been serving the Louisville area since 1947. The customer service is second to none, and their job is not complete until you are satisfied. Call 367-1212 for all your family and business needs. Burkhead Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent Trane dealer, is the company to keep you comfortable year-round. Call 367-1212 today. You're a step ahead with Burkhead and Trane. It's hard to stop a train.
100 years ago, we were selling appliances like these. Things have changed over the years, but one thing that hasn't is our commitment to our customers. And our growth has allowed us to carry the best selection of today's top brands. We wouldn't be one of the nation's oldest appliance dealers if we didn't provide professional salespeople and custom installation. The same thing that was true 100 years ago is still true today. There's no hassle at Bonnie Castle.
For over 65 years, families have trusted Coit to deep clean just about everything, all backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. Clean as new. That's the Coit commitment to you. Call 1-800-FOR-COIT today to schedule your Coit cleaning and save 30%.
Our very first guest on the Senior Living Show, none other than Hall of Fame sports journalist, Mr. Billy Reed. And Billy, we're glad to have you here today. And nothing like the Senior Living Show talking about your entire career in this wonderful book, Last of a Breed. Billy, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Paul. It took me a long time to finally decide I wanted to do this. And I decided to make it a book that really isn't so much about me as it is about the people I've met along the way, the things I've seen, a little bit of backstory about people like Bobby Knight, and that's the one guy I'm asked about even more than Muhammad Ali. What's Bobby Knight really like? And so I decided to go ahead and do that, and it was a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it.
Author of more than 20 books and hundreds, probably closer to 1,000 articles from Sports Illustrated, the Courier-Journal sports editor, columnist, general columnist, and that's your photo right there from the Courier-Journal, as well as a columnist, sports columnist with the Lexington Herald-Leader. No one knows the sporting scene in Kentucky as well as you. When you think about sports in Kentucky and even general news in the last 5 decades, your name is always one of the ones at the top of the list. And Billy, when you're compiling these stories, so many of them you've already written about. Give us a little taste of some of the behind the scenes or things maybe that are getting revealed that no one ever heard. Maybe that run at the lake with Muhammad Ali way back in the late 70s, getting ready for his fight with Leon Spinks or things like that.
Well, I hope so, Paul. It's certainly not a tell-all book, but it just it does give people, I think, a glimpse into some personalities that they've probably heard of and would like to know more about. And I've been lucky in being able to do this between covers, but I would recommend, I think all people in my age bracket, give or take 10 years, ought to really consider doing some kind of an oral history or a written history for their grandchildren, great-grandchildren, because a lot of times they don't really know what did granddad or grandma really do. And I think that's a great thing you can leave your family and maybe even work with your grandchildren on doing that. You know, here's where I was born, here's where I met your grandmother, just here's what life was like and whatever. But I really would encourage more seniors to consider doing that.
And you have this book available, and you know, through social media, you're active in social media and sporting events. We'll see you at Bellarmine games. We'll see you at Louisville men's and women's games. We'll see you at Kentucky games, and you're all in between. Transylvania games. Well, it doesn't matter the size, it's the scope. Even high school games you get to in football. Just tell us the ability to do that type of thing nowadays is much easier. We have picture collages now. Or we used to do picture collages. Now we can do something like this.
Well, I don't do it nearly as much as I used to. I mean, it's amazing how when you don't have an expense account anymore, how that kind of curtails your activities. But I love sports. I love the people who coach and play sports. And I found that really, if you're looking for good stories for a writer, they're not all at the Division I level. There's a lot of great human interest stories and people stories. And Scotty Davenport at Bellarmine has allowed me to get inside his program and just to see how he handles his young people, the values he tries to instill in them. And so, I mean, that's one fallacy that young writers have. Everybody wants to cover UK or U of L. But if you're interested in writing, you can find good stories anywhere.
Anywhere, at all ages. Mr. Billy Reed, our first guest. Where can folks purchase this book? Where can they find Last of a Breed?
They can find this book at Barnes & Noble stores all over Kentucky, at Carmichael's, at Books A Million, at Joseph Beth in Lexington, at Amazon.com, and at acclaimpress.com. That's my publisher.
Fantastic stuff from Hall of Fame journalist, Mr. Billy Reed. Billy, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure, Paul. Thank you.
100 years ago, we were selling appliances like these. Things have changed over the years, but one thing that hasn't is our commitment to our customers. And our growth has allowed us to carry the best selection of today's top brands. We wouldn't be one of the nation's oldest appliance dealers if we didn't provide professional salespeople and custom installation. The same thing that was true 100 years ago is still true today. There's no hassle at Bonnie Cancel.
For over 65 years, families have trusted Coit to deep clean just about everything, all backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. Clean is new. That's the Coit commitment to you. Call 1-800-FOR-COIT today to schedule your Coit cleaning and save 30%.
Burkhead Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent Trane dealer, has been serving the Louisville area since 1947. The customer service is second to none, and their job is not complete until you are satisfied. Call 367-1212 for all your family and business needs. Burkhead Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent Trane dealer, is the company to keep you comfortable year-round. Call 367-1212 today. You're a step ahead with Burkhead and Trane. It's hard to stop a train.
A few years ago, I was very embarrassed about my weight. I had lost weight in the past, but no matter what I tried, I just couldn't seem to lose it this time. I needed a plan. Imagine that. I needed a coach. That's when I turned to InShape MD, and wow, did their program work. I lost 42 pounds in the very first month. Now, I'm down 73 pounds, and I feel tremendous. It worked for me, and it will work for you. Let InShape MD be your coach, and you will love the results.
For over 65 years, families have trusted Coit to deep clean just about everything, all backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. Clean is new. That's the Coit commitment to you. Call 1-800-FOR-COIT today to schedule your Coit cleaning and save 30%.
I'm Vicki Rogers. Welcome back to the Senior Living Show. With me, I have a special guest, Scott Neal. He is the president of D. Scott Neal Incorporated, and he is the founder of the Caregiver Circle. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Vicki.
Yeah, tell everybody a little bit about your background, Scott.
Well, I have two degrees, two master's degrees. One is in accounting, an MBA in accounting, and the other one is a Master of Divinity in Pastoral Care. And so I have a great interest in helping people to plan for the rest of their lives, no matter when we start. But in this case, we're starting at senior level, at elderhood.
Yes, and so you have a passion for seniors, and you've got, there's a mindset in America that you're trying to help shift. Tell us about that, Scott.
Well, I think you'd probably agree with me. I think most people would probably agree with me that the mindset is traditionally that of a period of decline, a period of loss, a period of increased debilitation, and that's widespread. And I've come to believe that it's more of a period of growth and development around, it can become a much larger experience than simply a period of decline. For example, I think one of the chief growth areas for elders is to resolve the conflict between letting go of a legacy while still trying to hold on to as much control as possible for as long as possible.
And how can they achieve that?
Well, it's a matter of communication. It's a matter of dealing with all of the issues that come at you, such as health care, such as financing, such as housing arrangements, living arrangements, just taking care of the family. But leaving the legacy is mostly about stories. It's mostly about leaving the stories behind that how I want to be remembered.
And navigating these issues seems to be quite emotional, right?
Oh, absolutely. And typically what we find is an adult child taking care of an aging parent, and there are tremendous communication difficulties in that. And we could go on for a long time talking about the communication difficulties between adult children and their parents.
Well, so what are some of the first steps that folks should take when they think they're ready to have these kinds of conversations?
Well, I like to rely upon a book called The Other Talk. Most people can remember the first talk that they had with their child. That was a talk about sex. The other talk is the talk now about how I want to live the rest of my life. In fact, I was sitting reading that book one day with my son walked in. He was about 12 years old. He walked into the room and he said, "Daddy, what you reading?" And I said, it's a boomer's guide to talking with your family about the rest of your life. He said, "I'm out of here."
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah. So it's beginning that talk, having that conversation, and we're going to be talking about that.
And how do you open the door to even start that conversation with
Well,
them?
it's always better if the senior starts the conversation. Mm-hmm. It's very, very difficult for an adult child to begin that conversation with their parents.
So if the senior doesn't, if the adult child needs to, do you have any advice about that?
You look for openings. You seize the day. You step up when they need something. You step up, and that's generally your opening, is when you perceive that they need something.
All right. As an adult in this age group, adults that are 40s, 50s, and 60-year-olds, there are 3 different ways that you say that we view our parents. Explain that to us.
Well, we really start with 2 ways. One way is we could see them as they are, as people. The other way is that we could see them as objects. And the way that we see them as objects is that, an example. I was quite sure at times that I was going to tend to my mother, giving her care, because I wanted to be perceived as the good son. Mm-hmm. And when I was perceived as the good son, I was accomplishing my goal and objective, and she merely became the vehicle for me to do that. I was seeing her as an object when that happened. And then there are other times when I would see her as an obstacle.
Oh.
She prevented me from going to see my son's soccer game, or she became, at times, dare I say, she became a burden. And so when I saw her in that way, she was an object. She was not a person. But when I began to see her as a person, our relationship began to change for the very positive, in a very positive way. It began to change and develop in ways that we had never, ever experienced before. And that's become my mission, is to help adult children and their aging parent transform their relationship with each other.
And the first step?
Well, the first step is to realize that you might be doing these things.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just a point of recognition that I could recognize that I was actually seeing my mother as an object and not as a person.
And how did you come to that reality?
Well, reading and being called upon it. I have a younger brother, and my younger brother and I were talking one day, and I realized that, I'm after being the number one son.
Yeah.
I was the elder of the two, but and realizing that and talking about it was difficult, especially with him and with my mother. My father had Alzheimer's disease, and my mother was his primary caregiver, and then I became her primary caregiver, and so that's my most recent experience of working with elders.
Yes, well, you can walk the walk, talk the talk, because you've been through it yourself.
I certainly hope so.
Yes.
Yeah, it certainly has enhanced my experience.
Now, what's very fascinating to me is your Caregiver Circle. Please tell us just a little bit about that and where folks can find more information.
Well, caregivercircle.com is a website, and it has some tools on there that I hope people will find helpful. So.
And what's it all about?
It's all about dealing with what I call the predictable predicaments of aging.
All right. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Scott, tell everyone where they can get more information.
Join us at caregivercircle.com. We talk about things like this.
And thank you so much for being with us today. We'll be back in just a little bit here with more on the Senior Living Show. Thank you so much for watching the Senior Living Show. We'd like to thank our guests today, Hall of Fame journalist Billy Reed and Scott Neal with his Caregiver Circle segment. Tune in next week. We're going to have another Caregiver Circle segment from Scott, and we're going to have all the news you need to know about what's going on in Kentuckiana and an extra special guest. Thanks again for watching, and we are all going to be celebrating the best years of life.